I have a partner on this podcast, BU Athletics. I'm so excited to share this with all of you guys. So a few months ago, I had a friend send me some items from BU Athletics. It's workout attire. It's athletic leisure wear, how we call it nowadays. I fell in love with their stuff. So most of you guys know I'm very active. I try to work out at least like 5 times a week. Competed in triathlons and marathons for a very long time. So I pretty much live in active wear from the moment that I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep. And I'm always looking for pieces that are really, really comfortable and also fashionable, maybe throw on a jacket or something like that. And I got to tell you, I spend a lot of time in BU Athletics. They have everything from leggings, they have tops, they have bodysuit shorts, even dresses, ladies. I mean, if you want to put like on a nice dress with some, flats and kind of run some errands, they have that as well. It's breathable, quick dry fabrics for fitness and everyday wear. And they celebrate every single body type. And we know that's important because we're all different. It allows you to really feel comfortable in your own skin and celebrate your individuality. So you've maybe seen them, right? At the pickleball convention, Crunch Gym has some of the BU Athletics, Yoga Wellness Convention Center, and of course, South Florida universities like FAU. I'm a grad of FAU, Florida Atlantic University. Yes, go Owls. So BU Athletics plus, most importantly, it is a female-owned business. So let's support that for sure. The message, it's simple. Be strong, be bold, be you. So BU Athletics. If you go to their website, buathletics.com, and you put in the code SPAKEUP15, you can get 15% off. I love their stuff. And you will too. Super fashionable. Check out their website. Check out what they can offer. And be strong, be bold, be you.
This picture that you have up on the screen also makes me smile. This was from the year before. He had bought this outfit. He had heels on the boots. By the end of the night, he couldn't even walk after wearing these boots all day. But this is how Kurt dressed. And when we went to the concert, people would want to have their picture with him. And the whole time I was just screaming hysterically, just in shock of what we just saw. And then we did think the shooters were in the venue. So we decided we needed to just lay there and act like we were dead so that we wouldn't be shot next. That's what we thought at the time.
I did ask you on the phone about, the conspiracies. And I thought your answer, because every time I've told anyone that I'm going to talk to you, that is one of the first questions that they ask me is, what does she think about that? And your answer to me, I tell them every time what your answer was. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Spake Up Podcast. Excited to have you guys here for another week. Once again, want to remind everyone to subscribe. We got some really great numbers with Dr. Jay Calvert last week. It was a really interesting, informative, uncomfortable, exposing, all that stuff conversation for me, but one that I was really excited to have. And I'm definitely going to see Dr. Calvert when I go out to California with the NBA. But again, remember to subscribe. That's how we're getting such great guests every single week. And I am really looking forward to today's guest and having a conversation with her, because I think that today's podcast is a true example of why I started this in the first place. I started it because I wanted to reach people. I have had the privilege to meet so many different people in my lifetime, and telling their stories is very important to me because I think there's so many people out there that I know that are inspiring, and I want everybody else to get to know them. So today's podcast is certainly an example of that. It's an example of inspiration. I think it's going to make you better. It's going to make you stronger, and it's certainly going to make you have more love and more grace. But today's podcast is also an example of the absolute worst thing that can happen to a human being. Heartache, pain, and terror. You're going to hear about that. But you're also going to hear about how the universe works in such strange ways, and how love and compassion and healing can come from the most unimaginable heartache. So let me kind of tell you how this all came about. I was in Chicago for TNT doing the NASCAR race, the Chicago Street Course race. We had just finished the day. It was Sunday. It was hot. I was tired. I was walking back to the hotel down Michigan Avenue. I normally have headphones in. I normally don't stop when people kind of say, "Hey, Shannon." Um, but I had a gentleman who called my name and said, "Hey, are you Shannon Spake?" And I said, "Yeah." And he told me that he had been listening to the podcast. He loved the podcast, and we were new then, right? We only had a couple of episodes out. And he told me that he said, "It's so crazy that I'm running into you." He said, "Because I was just telling my girlfriend about you and about your podcast, and I really think that she would be a great guest for your podcast." My girlfriend's name is Mary Jo von Tillow, and she lost her husband, Kurt von Tillow, in the Route 91 Las Vegas shooting back in 2017, and she is writing a book about it. So when he said that, my heart sank. First of all, I was incredibly honored that he would think about me, and that he was talking to me with Mary Jo. But I remember that night distinctly. I was coming back from an NFL game in California. I was on a red eye. And remember, the shootings happened between 10:05 and 10:15 in Las Vegas. So I'm on this red eye reading live on Twitter as this is happening. And of course, I'm thinking about Jamie Little, who's a girlfriend of mine from Vegas, and some other people. And it was horrifying as you're really live streaming, kind of watching what was going on out there. And so I gave Mary Jo von Tillow a follow on Instagram. We connected. We spoke on the phone for about an hour. It was a tough conversation. It's I'm sure for her to relive. And you had to ask some of those questions. I think I mean, if you're a human, it's you have human compassion for what she and so many other people went through. Of course, 58 people lost their lives that night. 400 were wounded. So let me tell you a little bit about Mary Jo von Tillow and Kurt, and she's going to share all this. Okay. But they met when they were 21. They were engaged within 3 months and married for 33 years. Love story, true love story. Kurt was 55 years old. He was a truck driver. He was getting ready to retire in just a few months. He loved boating, golfing, beer. She made sure to remind me of that, and I'll talk to her about that as well. America, and he loved NASCAR, and that's the interesting tie, I think, to this whole thing, right? Dennis was at a NASCAR race, connected me because he ran into me. Kurt von Tillow loved NASCAR. And Mary Jo is sort of connected because of this. So Mary Jo was by Kurt's side when he was shot and killed in Las Vegas on October 1st, which is the day we're taping this, one day before October 1st. She told me that she knew that he died immediately. And we're going to get into the events of the night. But we are going to get into more about Kurt. We're going to get into the book that Mary Jo von Tillow is writing right now. And all of the little, as she'll call them, nudges that has happened kind of along the way. Here's the final piece to the puzzle. So every year, Mary Jo von Tillow goes back to Vegas to be with the survivors and the survivors' families. But one year in 2023, her son said to her, "Let's go to Talladega, Mom. Let's go to Talladega. Let's rent a motor home. Let's be dad." Because Kurt would go to Fontana every single year. He had been watching racing since the early 80s. He was a huge NASCAR fan. And Mary Jo von Tillow, I mean, you guys know how big Talladega is if you've been there. She could have parked that motorhome anywhere, but she parked it right next to a guy, Dennis, her now boyfriend, who found me in Chicago and connected Mary Jo and myself together. So we're going to bring her in right now. She's in Las Vegas, as I mentioned. I hope I did you justice in that intro.
Oh, of course you did. And thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm honored to be talking to you.
I'm honored to be talking to you, and I'm honored that you trust me with this story. And of course, I know that, like I said, you and I had about an hour conversation. I want to get into first being out there in Las Vegas right now. So tomorrow, we're taping this. Tomorrow is October 1st. 2017 was the shooting. So what does that make it? 8 years?
Yes.
Wow. It's great. Seems hard to believe it's been 8 years. What is it like for you when you go out there?
Vegas is very bittersweet. I grew up in Southern California, so Vegas was always a 4-hour drive. So we go to Vegas all the time. My kids celebrated their 21st birthdays here. We had anniversaries here. We had family reunions here, just so many good times in Vegas. And after the shooting, it was very hard to come back, but I always will come back to Vegas. It's the last city I saw my husband in. The community of Las Vegas has been just extremely supportive. After the shooting, reaching out. They have a resiliency center here. They make sure the families are taken care of. The police force, the mayor, the governor of Las Vegas, or governor of Nevada, all of them have been so comforting for our families. But mainly why I come back is because I want to honor my husband. My children, Matthew and Jessica, they're grown adults. It's hard for them to come, but I come every year that I can. Like you mentioned, I did go to Talladega the one year, and then during COVID, I did not come to Las Vegas. But it's really bittersweet because it is hard to be here. It's a reminder of what happened, and that's scary. But I want to be here to honor him, but also I've met so many families that lost their loved ones as well. And we're here to support each other, and we've become a family and become very close friends.
Yeah. So what will tomorrow be like? What will October 1st be like? And I also like, do you go, are you able to go back to the exact spot where he was shot and kind of stand there? What are some of the places that you make sure that you go to?
Yeah, the venue is difficult. But last year, for the first time, I went back to the venue, inside the venue. And that was difficult. I went to the spot where we were standing and where Kurt was shot and killed. It was difficult to do that, but I wanted to do that, and I knew I needed to do it. But 7 years later, I was ready for it. 1 year later, I probably wouldn't have been ready for it. But tonight, we're having a little event. They are doing a memorial, the Forever One Memorial, which is going to be on the venue. 2 acres of the venue are going to be dedicated to a permanent memorial.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm going tonight to walk where the memorial is going to be, and the organizers of the Memorial Foundation will be there. And I'm going to speak on behalf of, a family member that lost somebody. So that will be emotional, but really exciting. We're hoping we can get funding for the memorial. We're hoping by the 10-year anniversary, it can be built. And that's important to me. I went to Carson City a couple of months ago to ask for funding from the state of Nevada for the memorial as well. So the fundraising for that is underway as we speak. So tonight I will do that. And then tomorrow they always have a morning sunrise ceremony at 7:30 in the morning at the county center. They honor all the 58 victims with pictures of them. There's music that goes along with that. There's usually a family member that speaks, which is very emotional. And of course, the families that can be there are there, and we're all together supporting each other and remembering our loved ones. Shortly after the shooting, the community of Las Vegas, members of the community decided to build a healing garden, a place to gather for survivors, for family members, but just the community to come and grieve what had happened to Las Vegas. And they put this together within 5 days or so. So every one of the 58 have their own tree, and this is a picture of Kurt's tree at the healing garden. But today, that is the only memorial we have is there, and that's why the permanent memorial is so important. It's so much bigger than this beautiful garden. We're very excited that it's going to be on the venue as well. The garden is located in a different location between the Strip and downtown. And while it's beautiful and has been very comforting and a wonderful place for us to go, the permanent memorial is really important to us and to all the family members and to first responders who were unbelievable that night, and to the survivors, people who were injured and have overcome so much, not only physically, but psychologically, mentally. It's important that we don't forget everything that happened that night, and we don't forget October 1st.
So one of the things you're doing, this is what the memorial is you
Yes.
sent me, is what they're trying to do, a permanent memorial, 2 acres. in the location. I know that you said we'll kind of get into this because this is some of the funds, I guess, that you've discussed if you do get any kind of money from the book that you're getting ready to publish. This is a lot of what your mission is to make this happen. So let's talk about that, because I feel like when you and I talked on the phone for the very first time, I think my first question was why are you writing this book? And we do have a cover of that book. So let's show that, because it's going to be released, you said, next week or 2 weeks from now?
October 14th.
October 14th.
Available.
Yes. Okay. So why write the book? What was the purpose behind it?
I don't want my husband, Kurt, to be forgotten. I want his story to be told. And I didn't do it for financial success or for my success. I wanted his story to be told. And I also, along the way, after the shooting, I met some very incredible people afterwards who had some pretty horrific things happen in their lives. And they turned that tragedy into positivity and made something of their lives and motivated them to be better. And when I met them, it made me realize I was going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. They've had some things happen to them too. So this book, I wanted to tell Kurt's story, but then I also wanted to tell their stories and how they inspired me to keep going, and that me and my family were going to be okay.
I think you told me that this is sort of a letter to your late husband. I think that's what I have sort of like written at the top of my notes here, is that you journaled a lot. And that was part of your therapy after the shooting. So how did you, like, take me through the sort of what is a book like? Is it a recap of the night? Is it stories about the survivors? Is it story about Kurt? How did you sort of outline this? I know you used someone to help you write this, but what's give me, I guess, a brief synopsis of what I'll read when I read this book.
So Mark Gray, who was also at the concert that night, he's a writer. He has done articles about what happened to him in People magazine. He's done articles that included me in Rolling Stone. And that's how I met him. I met him at an event for the 58, a fundraiser. And him and I got to talking. He did his article. And a couple of years later, I asked him, hey, I really think I want to write a book. I don't think I could do it on my own. Would you be interested in helping me do it? So this has been something that's been underway for about 2 years. And I didn't think I could write a full book about my story and Kurt's story and our family's story, but I knew I wanted that to be told. And that's how the book starts. And then it's a series of stories of people I've met along the way and them telling their stories, but all of their stories tied to me. Throughout the book. And there's 7 different stories, different chapters about their journeys and people maybe they have lost or situations in their life that have happened that inspired me when I met them. And pretty early on after the shooting, I met these people, and without them, I don't know that I would have saw the light at the end of the tunnel or thought it was possible to be where I am today.
Do you happen to remember what your first journal entry was after the shootings?
Yes.
Like, what do you say to yourself?
There's so much that went with the shooting. First of all, I was there with 6 people, family members. My sister-in-law and my niece were also shot. They recovered from their injuries now. And then obviously Kurt was fatally shot. So we waited in Vegas for a week so we could bring Kurt home so my niece could get out of the hospital. And then when I got home, I just thought, I don't want to forget anything about this last weekend. And so I wrote as much as I could remember, every little detail about everything. And I'm so glad I did, because as you know, time passes and you forget those little details. But I wrote every single thing that I could remember of the weekend, from us getting to the airport, what we had to drink, just little things that don't really matter on a day-to-day basis, but I didn't want to forget a thing.
There's your picture.
And this picture that you're showing, it makes me smile. We had gone to Vegas for 4 years. Route 91 just started 4 years prior to the shooting. And this is a picture of us on the airplane. We were so excited. My daughter and her then husband, their anniversary was on September 29th. So they lived in Connecticut. So it was a great place for our family to come and meet and see each other. Here's a picture of all of us on October. It's hard for me to say, on October 1st, right before the shooting, before the sun went down.
And you told me that Big and Rich saying God bless America that night, earlier that night. And that was like one of the most patriotic things, and just a kind of, I mean, you specifically told me that when we talked on the phone. So obviously that was a moment that you remember vividly from that night.
For sure. Kurt's nickname was Captain America. Kurt loved his country, and he wore stars and stripes anywhere he could. This picture that you have up on the screen also makes me smile. This was from the year before. He had bought this outfit, and he had heels on the boots. By the end of the night, he couldn't even walk after wearing these boots all day. But this is how Kurt dressed. And when we went to the concert, people would want to have their picture with him. And since the shooting, I've had so many people that didn't know who he was, but they saw this picture and knew that he was one of the 58. And they come up to me and said, I had my picture taken with him. We remember him at the concert. So this picture is iconic and really represents who Kurt was. He was so proud to be an American, and just to sing God Bless America that night before he died, to me was just meant to be. He loved his country. And Big and Rich also brought up veterans up onto the stage and honored them. And Kurt could not be more proud of the servicemen that represent our country.
Where were you? Where were you sitting, standing, like in relation to the stage when the shooting started?
We were on the right side of the stage, and we were far enough back that we could still see the performers, but not so close that the speakers were right on top of us. And, we didn't have to look at the screen to see them perform. We were close enough, but we were right at the stage, I'd say 20 yards from the stage, maybe a little closer, but we always would be in the same spot every year. We just knew we found our spot. We had gone to the front row one year for Keith Urban, and it was just too much people fighting over their spots and all of that. So we had found our spot. So anybody who came to the concert with us, they knew that was our spot. We were on the right side of the stage, kind of near the VIP area. And like I said, close enough to see the stage and not have to look at it on a screen. And that particular night, we were up on the big screen a lot. And I don't think in previous years we had, but for whatever reason that night, we were all over the big screen. And maybe because of Kurt, I don't know.
Because you said you had gone every single year to this concert, and as you just mentioned, kind of stood in the same spot. You did tell me that that you believed, or he was one of the very first people shot. Kurt was.
Yeah, before Jason Aldean stopped singing, Kurt was down. And when we realized that it wasn't fireworks, and we had been previous years and there'd never been fireworks, so we were kind of puzzled, what's that noise? And I think because we were up front, the shooting had started before that, before we heard it. But since we were up front and closer to the speakers, we didn't really hear it. But when we realized it was not fireworks, that it was gunfire, I turned to Kurt, who's next to me, and he was already down. And Jason Aldean was still on the stage at that point. So I think he probably was one of the first people to be shot.
Yeah, and you told me he was shot in the clavicle, and you knew that he was gone immediately.
Immediately, yes. I had previous experience with my mother-in-law passing away and being there, and also my father just a year before. And I just knew that he was no longer with us.
How in the world, do you even start to kind of mentally grasp what is happening?
It's still hard for me to believe it's my story that this happened to my husband, the father of my children. I still can't believe it. It's not something you really get used to. And just the enormity of what happened. The largest mass shooting in the United States, there's 22,000 people there, 58 died, and one of them was my husband. It's really hard for me to believe that. But I think what inspires me to move forward, and always has, is Kurt. Kurt was always such a positive person. And he felt like if these things aren't going the way you want them to, change it. You have the power to do that. And he inspires me every day. And he always wanted to be happy and around people who are positive, right? So like, I can't just lay in bed all day and feel sorry for myself. I need to get up and do something. Plus, I had my own children. I had family members who were also devastated. And if I wasn't okay, they weren't going to be okay either.
Yeah, so your kids were with you. Was your daughter there with you?
Yeah, my daughter Jessica and her husband at the time, CJ, were there with us. My sister-in-law, Kurt's sister, Deanne Hyatt, and her daughter, Arena Hyatt, were there. They were the two that were shot that night. But my son was not there. He had been there previous years, but he was not there that night.
What is I know that I'm sure you relive this in your brain all the time, but it's not okay for any human to have to experience just what you went through. But your daughter is there. This has just happened to your husband. I'm sure that chaos is just breaking out around you. You like what like what is going on within you in terms of just trying to identify all of the moving parts that are happening?
It seems like a movie. And I was horrible throughout the whole thing, I will tell you. My daughter, Jessica, she's strong. She took charge. She was like the general telling us what to do.
Did you know what was happening? Like, we
did know it was shot? We knew it was gunfire, but we thought there was multiple shooters in the venue. We had no idea it was coming from Mandalay Bay. No idea whatsoever. So once we knew Kurt was down, then my sister-in-law said, "I'm shot." Then my niece said, "I'm shot." And immediately my daughter found her phone cord in her purse and was doing a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. And we're using bandanas. And the whole time I was just screaming hysterically, just in shock of what we just saw. And then we did think the shooters were in the venue. So we decided we needed to just lay there and act like we were dead, so that we wouldn't be shot next. That's what we thought at the time.
And you told me that they had to, someone had to come and take you away from Kurt and bring you to safety under some bleachers, right?
Yes, we had an off-duty Las Vegas police officer, Eric Brown, who is our hero. He came out to us, and at this point, we were one of the very few still out there. The shooting happened over 11 minutes, and there was pauses in the shooting, and people ran out. Well, we did not. I was not going to leave Kurt. We were not going to leave Kurt. So we were out there, and he came up to us and talked us into moving at least to more safety, even though we probably weren't safe where we moved to. We weren't just out in the middle. And he encouraged us. Then he helped my sister-in-law and my niece get to an ambulance. They do not let first responders in. They don't let the ambulance in when there's an active shooter. So all the ambulances were lined up way outside the venue. And Officer Brown brought them to the triage tent. Then he went and found a beer cart and took them to an ambulance, and they got to a hospital pretty quickly.
So at what point do you leave? Like, and is Kurt still there?
Yeah,
I know you said you didn't want to leave him, right? Yeah. But at what point do they say, and they took you to the Tropicana, right? Like, that's where everyone was housed. So at what point how long are you out there before somebody
seems like forever? It was only 11 minutes. It seems like forever.
So you were only out there for 11 minutes total. They moved you that quickly.
Yes. And I went into shock, and we went in the Tropicana. And at that point, they got me some help and took me in an ambulance to the hospital.
And then you have to be there a week, right?
Yes. Awful. Luckily, we were staying at Caesar's Palace, and they were just tremendous to us, treated us so well. But there's so much going on in Vegas. My son flew in immediately that following morning and was there. And we wanted to wait to bring Kurt home, and going back and forth to the hospital and making sure my niece was okay.
I did ask you on the phone about, the conspiracies. And I thought your answer, because every time I've told anyone that I'm going to talk to you, that is one of the first questions that they ask me is, what does she think about that? And your answer to me, I tell them every time what your answer was. So just What was your answer when I asked you about the conspiracies that, because there are a lot out there about what happened that night.
Yeah,
And I asked
there
you about
are,
it.
there are, and I like I mentioned, I thought there was multiple shooters in the venue, so I was really surprised that it was one person when we learned what was happening. I don't really care about the conspiracy theories. I don't give a lot of attention to them because it doesn't change my outcome.
Yeah.
My husband is still not here, so in my mind, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change my reality. And I don't want to give any energy to that. I'd rather give more energy honoring him and the 58 that died that night. And I just don't give it any attention at all because it doesn't change my life. It doesn't change what happened.
Do you feel like that's how a lot of the families and the survivors feel? Or are there some people that you just have to say, I can't engage in this conversation with you. You're dealing with this pain and this is your story. I have to be over here handling it the way that I'm handling it.
Yeah, I don't know that I can answer that for the ones that I know. We don't talk a lot about that, but I would imagine that is how they feel. I think for me, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the person that was doing the shooting. I don't really acknowledge that person. I don't want to think about that person. I don't want to humanize that person. So thinking about a conspiracy, I'd also have to think about him. And I I don't spend much time doing that at all.
All right, let's turn to the love side of this story, which is Kurt, the love of your life. And I know, God, I when we talked on the phone, yeah, I'm like, it's the range of emotions that you must feel every day. The intense love, the intense loss, the intense vividness of what you had to experience on October 1st, 2017. But tell me, you wrote this book because you want people to know who Kurt von Tillow was, and you want your children to remember him, and you want your grandkids to know him. So tell me about him.
There's so much to say, and just saying his name or thinking about him makes me smile. And he always made me laugh. I was always attracted to him for that. He was just a very caring, loving person. He was the kind of husband that carried a picture of his wife in his wallet. He was a truck driver, and my picture was on his dashboard. He was raised by a single mom, so first night I met him, he talked about his mom and his sister. His dad wasn't part of his life growing up, so he wanted to be the best dad he could be and be there for his kids and be as close to them as he could be. He was a wonderful brother to his brother Ward and his sister Deanne, and a great son. He was a family guy. He liked to have a lot of fun. He was the fun guy. And
Loved
if we
beer,
were to,
right?
pardon me?
Loved beer, right?
Oh yeah, he loved beer. So Kurt,
Loved beer and NASCAR.
in order, he loved his family. He loved America. He loved NASCAR. He loved golf. He loved having beers with friends, for sure. He was a Coors Light guy. That was his beer, and everybody knew. And Coors Light was his thing.
I love that. And you guys met, as I mentioned, at 21 years old and engaged 3 months later, like a true love story. And when you told me that, like, you think about your person, living out your life with your person. And although it was 33 years, my goodness, the love story, just the love that I could feel, like even now, just seeing your smile, and some people never get that.
I'm so grateful for that. I could be very bitter about what's happened.
I'm sure you are sometimes. I'm sure, listen, you're human, like, right? We all go through, I'm sure there are moments that you have those feelings.
Yeah. Do I wish things were different? Absolutely. Could I have ever in my wildest dreams think this could have happened? And anybody I knew, Kurt was always a good person. And 33 years of marriage, you go through your ups and downs, and you're having kids, you have a career, you struggle, but Kurt was always a good person, always. And for this to happen to him and die in the way that he died, he didn't deserve that. He was always my biggest supporter. Both of us had nothing when we met. We didn't have a dollar between the two of us. And we built our life and worked very hard to have a really wonderful life. We were living in Cameron Park on the country club, bought a beautiful home. Our kids were in college. We had made it. We had made a lot of money, and we could live the life we wanted to live. And I just think he didn't deserve to, go out that way. And who does? But I'm not bitter. I'm grateful. Like, who gets the love of your life, and to have that kind of love, and to go through all the things we went through growing up together and raising our kids together and really having a beautiful life. I'm grateful to have that. Some people never get that. And he's left a lot to me too. He's left me two beautiful kids who I'm very close with, and without them, could not have survived a day. My daughter Jessica is a rock star. She's very strong and has been there for me. My son Matthew, he's so much like his dad. He has the love of NASCAR and has not given that up. And he makes sure that he honors his dad every day with the things that his dad loved too.
And so was it Matthew that came to you in 2023, you said, right? 2023.
Yes.
And
Yes.
said, what did it tell me, you told me the story. I said a little bit at the beginning. So tell me what was different October 1st, 2023 compared to every other October 1st since that night.
Yeah, Matthew had wanted to do it the year before, because Talladega falls on the anniversary, and that was the 5-year anniversary, I believe. And I just said, I can't do it this year. I really want to be in Las Vegas for the 5-year, but how about we do it next year? So Matthew started planning. He went out to all the family members, like, hey, we're doing Talladega. Kurt never got to go to Talladega, which
my favorite track, by the way.
Yes, it's so fun. So we decided, let's go do it how Kurt would do it. He didn't get to go there, but we're going to go do it. So it turned out it ended up being just 5 of us that ended up going. And it was hard for me not to be in Las Vegas, but also I felt like this is really where I need to be. And because my kids don't come to Vegas, I would like to be with them on October 1st, but I'm torn between going to Vegas or being with my kids. So this was a great opportunity to be with my son. And just really celebrate his dad. So he did everything, and he's not the greatest planner and organizer, but his girlfriend, and now fiance Lynn, she helped plan it. But he got the motorhome, he got the spot, he got us all of our tickets, and we arrived there on Friday morning, and up drives this motorhome saying, hey, are you space number 83? And we're like, yeah, that's our space. He goes, oh, we're right next to you. And that was Dennis Nelson from Florida. And that's how we met. We were parked next to each other in Talladega on October 1st.
That's the part of the story that just, like, you and I talked, right? Was it the Golden Girls book? Is that what you called it? Where it was nudges?
Yes. Yeah. So the book is about the mom passing away, and she's got younger, like 20-year-old kids, maybe teenage kids. And throughout the book, she gives them little nudges of decisions that they're going to make, or things they should do, or people they should involve in their life. And I really do feel like that nudge was from Kurt, like, go to the race. You're going to meet somebody there. And it's funny, NASCAR has been a big part of my life since I met Kurt von Tillow. He was 21 years old in 1983 watching NASCAR, which was unheard of. We all watched IndyCar, and that was exciting, but NASCAR, that's what old men watched, right? So, NASCAR. So it's like, who is this guy? Like, he just really acted so much older. He listened to old country music. He watched golf on TV, which at that time everybody's watching tennis, so he was very different in that way from the start. So while I can't say I'm a huge NASCAR fan, I've been to a lot of races for not being a huge NASCAR fan. And now I've just realized and come just embrace that NASCAR is going to be in my life, and for a good reason. And it's a positive story about NASCAR. NASCAR has brought a lot of happiness to my family, and now it's brought happiness to me too.
Was it like, what was the interaction with Dennis that first weekend like? Because I can imagine, and you and I talked about this, when you lose your spouse, they're always going to be there. They're always going to be part of your life. You're always going to be in love with them. It's not like you got divorced. It's not like, it's they're still there. It's, I'm sure Dennis is dating you and Kurt's memory as well. So were you ready to start dating? Did you say, hey, there's something really special about this guy? Did you guys just hit it off at Talladega?
Yeah, I was ready. I had dated before.
Right.
Probably about 2.5 years after Kurt passed away, I started dating, and had relationships, fairly serious after that, but really hadn't really found the one. I certainly did not go to Talladega or to the state of Alabama thinking I'm going to meet somebody there. That was not the purpose. And that's probably why it happened, actually.
Yeah.
Right? And even to say now that I met somebody in Alabama at Talladega just seems kind of funny. But yeah, so we were there in Talladega in the infield. They have a ton of stuff going on, right? They have
Talladega Boulevard, baby. I've been there.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. That was a full experience within itself. But they parked next to us, and we really didn't interact with them too much at the beginning, other than, we did a pool of drivers, and they said, oh yeah, we'll be in the pool. And they came over and signed up for the pool. But we went to the rodeo, just the group we were with. Then Hardy played on Saturday night. And when we came back after the Hardy concert, we were all around a fire pit. And that's when we all started interacting. And they all started figuring out why we were there. And about Kurt, and learned that we were celebrating him, and they were all for it. They all were like, okay, yes, we're going to do this right. Plus we, obviously drinking Jello shots that,
as you should in Talladega.
Yeah, that it was just Talladega, and just so fun. And the group he was with are good friends of his and now good friends of mine. And they were all kind of rooting for us to make a connection and stay in touch.
Aww. And Ryan Blaney won that race. That's what I was looking up. I was just looking to see who won that race.
Well, yes. Also, Kevin Harvick, which Dennis is a huge fan, and my son is a huge fan. Kevin Harvick was leading that race, should have won that race. And it was, his last one at Talladega, and he didn't. And I think he ended up getting disqualified even at second place. But yes, we were rooting hard for Harvick to win.
No.
Yes, so we had a great time, and I've since gone back with Dennis to Talladega, and it's kind of now like, okay, it's our anniversary. Did we go to Talladega or not? But it's always over the anniversary of Las Vegas too.
Yeah, so. I think they've moved it now, because this weekend we're at the Roval this weekend.
Yeah, it moves around, I think.
Yeah. So then, it'll be easier to get down there. My favorite race of the year is Talladega. My favorite track is the favorite one of the year is that fall race at Talladega. There's something really special about that huge flag blowing in the wind, which I'm sure stood out to you, given what you just said about Kurt and his patriotism or patriotic ways. Sorry. So yeah, there's something really special about that fall race at Talladega for sure. All right. What's next for you besides the book and obviously the activities of October 1st that you're going to do tomorrow? What is your intention? What are you looking forward to with this book? And I know that you talked about there being a lot of nerves with it coming out as well.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it, but also nervous excitement. I think when you put yourself out there, you have to be open to criticism, and I'm not looking forward to that. But in reality, I just want Kurt's story to be told, and it's from my perspective. Other people may have told the story a little bit different, so I get nervous about that, or people being maybe critical about it. So Mark Ray and I, the author of the book, along with the publisher, are going to work out what are we going to do to promote the book, and how are we going to do that. And that's going to be happening in the next week or so. That will really determine what's next as far as promotion of the book.
Where will we be able to get it? Will it be on Amazon and those types of places?
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon. It's available now to get it.
Is it?
Well,
for
it's not
pre-order?
available to get it. The pre-order's available for your digital copy for like your
Okay.
Kindle and that kind of stuff. But it will be available on Amazon, I believe, on the 14th. But you could pre-order the digital copy right now.
Okay. And a lot of your efforts outside of this book are to have this memorial, right? Because you did mention that to me specifically, the memorial that you're hoping, the 2 acres on that site.
Yeah, it's a big project. It's expensive to do, and the fundraising is underway now. And I could provide a link for anybody who's watching your podcast too, so that they could go on and donate
Yeah.
to the memorial. It's so important, not only to me and my family and my grandchildren, but also the survivors, people who that night changed their lives, and some of them severely injured, and even the first responders. Who put their all out there to help us. And so many people escaped. Only 58 were killed out of the 22,000. The number probably could have been much larger. So this memorial is for that. And not to forget that night, and to be right on the strip. And the location it's going to be at, it's going to be right by the new stadium that the A's are building. That whole area is going to be revamped. Very excited to have that permanent memorial, but we need the money to do it. And so there's a big fundraising effort happening now for the Forever One Memorial.
Well, I think we've been talking. Like I said, Dennis came up to me in July, and you and I got on the phone shortly after, and we've been kind of planning it, having it on this day because of the fact that you're in Las Vegas for the October 1st, for the anniversary of this. And I know you and I have talked many times, and I've given you. I've told you how grateful I am that you're sharing the story, and I'm grateful I've gotten to know you too, because I think that your strength and just grace and beauty, and the way that you the words that you use and the love that you had and what you were doing in Kurt's memory is absolutely beautiful. And I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for talking to me and sharing with me and being open to relive that night, that I can't imagine how challenging that is. But I guess that's it. Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, for trusting me with this.
Of course. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about Kurt, talk about our story. I look at you as a very strong woman, and I've listened to your podcast and the women that you've had on. And strong women are ripping through my life. I could not have recovered from what happened with our family without, I mentioned my daughter, but also I'm one of 7 kids. My sister Jill and her husband, Mark, my sister Anne, who is a 3-time cancer survivor, and her husband, Michael, my sister-in-law, Deanne, and her husband, Michael, her daughter, Arena. I'm a strong women are why I'm here and who I am. It's amazing. So when I started, I didn't know of your podcast till Dennis brought it to my attention, and I started listening to you. It's like, wow, she is strong. This is somebody I want to talk to and share my story with. So thank you so much for listening to our story and listening to Kurt. And he won't be forgotten because of you. And I really do appreciate that.
Well, I will say this. Yes, I'm, almost 50, so I have been through a lot, but I also know that it's okay to crumble at times. And I think that's what makes you strong, is the ability to kind of sit in things and feel, whether it be hurt or pain or fear or whatever it is, to sit in those moments and acknowledge them and feel them. And I do feel like that helps you become stronger, and knowing women around you who have been through those situations, and men as well.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that you know that it's okay. I tell people that all the time. Like I tell people, like women who are coming back from having a baby, that's usually when I use this phrase, but I think we can use it in every aspect of our life, is it is okay to be afraid and scared. It's okay to be uncertain, right? That's human. And I think that's what makes us stronger. I mean, there's been plenty of times where, in the past year or so, I've been laying on the bathroom floor, staring at the ceiling, wondering, when I'm going to get up. But I get up. But I let myself lay there for a few minutes.
Yeah. And I'll also say, anybody who's grieving now and going through grief, I mean, unfortunately, we live in a world where these shootings are continuing, and what's happened in the past month is just, it just, every time there is a shooting, it just hits my heart because I just know how many people are suffering because of what happened. Not just the victims and their families, but the people who are experienced it and were around that. So if you are grieving, give yourself some grace. You know, I allowed myself to cry a certain amount of minutes every day, and then I got it out. I also listened to music, and I would have my song of the day. I'd have my dance song, and that made me happy. And I went out the door with a smile on my face. And so baby steps of accepting your grief, and it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be strong. You can show your emotion. You can have those moments. And I still have those moments. There's silly things that happen that make me cry and uncontrollably. And then there's other times there's things that happen that you think I'd cry and I don't. But allow yourself to grieve and to be open with your emotions. And that's the only way you can accept it. And I have to say too, I went through therapy. I had the most wonderful therapist, Lori Lucia, in Northern California. She's amazing. She helped me through a lot. And I did EMDR therapy as well, which was great for me and helped me deal with so much of my emotion and really get it all out and deal with it. And I think talking with her made me realize it's okay. And the grief is going to come in waves, and you have to accept it. And I'm here today because I did accept it, and I did allow those emotions, and it helped me move forward. And if you don't deal with it, I don't know that you really can move forward.
Will you have a dance song tomorrow?
I will, and it will be Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. And I posted on my social media recently a song and pictures of Kurt, and that was his song. So that will be my dance song tomorrow.
Here's a little nudge. I don't know if you saw my social media, but when it's the 21st night of September, I'm the first one. I posted on every single one of my social media channels. I literally wait for the 21st of December every single year, just to be able to post that, this year it fell on a Sunday, unfortunately, because usually I'll drive my kids to school with it like blasting out the windows. And they're like, "Mom, stop it."
I did not know that. So that's another connection that we have.
Nudge, because when I did see that you posted that, I was like, oh my gosh, I love that song. And I literally, on September 21st, I must play it like 20 times. Like it's just all day, every day, because it's that one. I'm just, so that's another nudge there.
Yeah, Kurt was a trumpet player, so Earth, Wind, and Fire was his jam. He loved that.
So. Well, I'll make sure to send that to you tomorrow morning.
I would love to see it.
And I wish you nothing but strength and love, and I'll be sending all of that to you over the next 24, 48 hours, until until all of tomorrow's activities are over, and then you head back to Florida. And next time I'm in Florida, let's go get a Coors Light.
I would love that. Let's do it. I would love that. Thank you, Shannon. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're lovely, and I appreciate you. Good luck tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to make this pretty short, because after, that conversation, I really don't think that there's anything left to say. The night was so tragic. Again, I remember following it in real time on Twitter on a red eye coming home from Los Angeles after a football game. You heard her say 2,200 people were there. Wow. 58 died. And they're out there this week. The families, the survivors. October 1st is a day that they'll never forget, obviously. And of course, the city of Las Vegas, doing some great things to put that memorial out there, so that there is a place where these family members can go and remember their loved ones. So, Mary Jo von Tillow, thank you. Dennis, thank you for coming up to me in Chicago and saying hello and suggesting this. I am better for having met her and having talked to her and having, I guess, I don't want to say witnessing, but just experiencing the strength that she has and the way that she's handled such a tragic event certainly made me a better person. So thank you. And we'll see you next week.